pulling shit together with my bro. Yeah, he keep me on my toes. So we cooking cause we fucking hungry. She just want a nigga with some goals. But this world so fucking cold. When she find love, won't know how to hold it. I've been feeling anxious on the low. I just leave it to the most. Life's a gamble and we never folding. Better yet, I welcome every wager and he take us from a line. Watch me make your money mine. Someone told me time is money, but see, really, that's a lie. Cause that dollar, I can get it back, but seconds they go by. But don't get it twisted, I'm with it if it's by the check. I need compensation and all deposits come direct. Baby needed some shoes, lady need her a house, but I ain't counting the seconds, I'm just making it count. I woke up and decided to let them talk and I'ma be about it. And through it all, girl, I'ma be a rider for you. That's why I'm out here trying to change a dollar to two. And for the record, it's way more deep than what you expected. I'm playing chess when they saying king me, I'm yelling check me. I'm moving with a purpose and it's such a blessing. And in the end, it's worth it cause there's no regretting. I'm having a breakthrough. Break rules, yeah, that's something that the greats do. Ooh, don't ever let the evil take you. Yeah, I'm at the top and it's a break. It'll get it into the last straw, last straw. You know today could be your last call, last call. I don't ask permission, I blast off, blast off. Any and everything's a go, any and everything, yeah. I'm living proof when you doing you. They gon' love you or they won't, that's for them to choose. It don't matter if they don't. Lord help them, I try myself, but they out of reach. I count my blessings and say my prayers before I go to sleep. I get it, come home and shower, rinse and repeat. And cutting ties with any nigga dragging his feet. I'm cutting a line a couple times, I'm trying to eat. When you align, you never mind opinion and sheep. You wanna know that struggle, look into my eyes. You wanna know that pain, look into my eyes. You wanna know that feeling that you feel when it's a million reasons telling you to quit, but instead you rise. You're guaranteed to lose if you never try. And this is something I refuse to the day I die. Yeah, I find a purpose and it's such a blessing. And in the end it's worth it cause it's no regret. I'm having a breakthrough. Break rules, yeah, that's something that the greats do. Ooh, don't ever let the evil take you. Yeah, I'm at the top and it's a break. It'll get it into the last straw, last straw. You know today could be your last call, last call. I don't ask permission, I blast off, blast off. Any and everything's a go, any and everything, yeah. I'm having a breakthrough. Break rules, yeah, that's something that the greats do. Ooh, don't ever let the evil take you. Yeah, I'm at the top and it's a break. It'll get it into the last straw, last straw. You know today could be your last call, last call. I don't ask permission.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday and welcome to the Uninformed Fan. Buffington, I see you're in there all strapped in, ready to go already. Appreciate you coming in today. We got a nice weekend recap to get to. College World Series is going strong. The MLB decided to take their talents to London to see how that would go. Very interesting. The NBA draft was I don't think anybody really cared. And let's see here. Formula One's back this week, which we're really looking good. I said anyone. I mean, I guess that's you. I don't know. Well, we're looking at
Bulls fans aren't, too stoked about it.
I don't think anybody really cares. I think that kid's a bust. But anyway, I digress. We can get into that a little bit if you'd like. It's Monday. It's beautiful out. We've been up since 6 o'clock in the morning, got our exercise in. Stock market is going good today. Everything's looking good. Jeffrey, how are things over in Jeffrey land?
I mean, some of us didn't get up and work out at 6 a.m., but some of us did roll out of bed about an hour ago and had some Lucky Charms. It's tough when you walk up and you go downstairs and you have every intention of maybe having some yogurt and some fruit and, really eating right, starting the day off right. You walk downstairs and there's a box of Reese's Peanut Butter Cup cereal. There's Lucky Charms. There's Frosted Flakes. And most of the times I just look and I say, you know what? Fuck it.
I mean, you might as well. I mean, it makes for a very easy breakfast.
Yeah.
I thought this morning I was going to make some scrambled eggs, maybe some ham, maybe throw some stuff in there, some cheese, a little Boathouse seasoning on my eggs. If you haven't had that, definitely recommend. But I decided to go with the pre-made biscuits. I got these little mini biscuits, right? They're like little Chick-fil-A biscuits, but they're like the mini ones. Throw a couple of them in the microwave, minute 30, some freshly squeezed orange juice, and we're good to go. It worked. It's too much. It's too much.
So good, dude. I hit them up. We had a doctor's appointment last week. Because we're on a weekly checkup now because baby is coming. Whenever baby decides.
Oh, that's right. Any day.
Except, they've now the baby is not turned, so the baby is breached right now, and so we're still waiting. We have up until July 10th, which is when the scheduled cesarean section would be, if it comes down to that and the baby does not move. So we're kind of on the clock here, but we're kind of hanging out. Anyway, we went to Chick-fil-A for breakfast, and we pull up, and I remember back in the day, I'm like, didn't you guys used to have a biscuit with with the chicken and egg and cheese and everything on it? And he goes, oh yeah, still got it. He's like, it's just not on the menu. I'm like, my guy, got one, dude. It was so good. Like everything Chick-fil-A, man, breakfast wise is just goated. It's really good.
Well, according to the social media video that my wife sent me in regards to Chick-fil-A, there's definitely a reason for that, and that has to do with the amount of MSG that they put in there and all of the other chemicals and stuff. If you look at the ingredient list on one of these lovely sandwiches, it's about 45 ingredients long. And she tried to shame me into it, but I said I don't care.
Bianca, let me tell you something.
I'm still eating my Chick-fil-A.
Don't care about your facts. They don't. My feelings do not care about your facts. My feelings say that it's delicious.
It's definitely delicious, and that's what we come to the point now where like we've been down this rabbit hole, right? And once you start going down like the processed foods or any food rabbit hole, you're gonna find something every single time. You're gonna find a phosphoglycade. Or whatever the hell, 26 phosphoglycide. That's
what I'm saying. That?
I don't know, and that's the point. And that's the point.
We should bring Bianca on as our health expert,
bro. We could have an entire food segment in regards to this, but and of course she's definitely into the Bill Gates conspiracy and all of the other conspiracies. Which one of the things that she brought in as well. Did you happen to see what happened in Yellowstone over the weekend?
No, what happened?
In Montana, a train collapsed, the bridge collapsed right over the Yellowstone River, and all of this toxic material is now flowing into the Yellowstone River. That's basically going to contaminate the entire Yellowstone River. So obviously that was done on purpose because they're trying to contaminate all of our water supply and all of the food supply. Now, I will say this. Now, as I'm bashing my wife, who I love very much, Bianca, I love you.
I don't think you're bashing her.
There is some truth to some of this stuff, and there's a lot of different smoke and mirrors, and I said a long time ago, for the longest time I didn't care about anything about politics because I said, does my life ever change between who's in president and who's not? No, my life doesn't change. However, when Mr. Orange Man decided to get into politics, he kind of, I don't know, it kind of thrusted politics on all of us, right? And we kind of became a little bit more attentive. And while we're getting into that, we're starting a little bit more about red flags and distractions. And then you got programs like Succession and a lot of other series that come out and show the light, right, in regards to how the elite control things and this, that, and the other. And, I'm not saying, so we just had the Titanic thing, right? That was going on, and the submersible that popped, and the billionaires that were in there, and all the world was focused in on that. And in that meantime, they just passed where they can start to make artificial meat now. I don't know if you saw this. So the USDA has approved lab-grown meat now, and that's what we're getting to now as far as lab-grown meat. We look at
the Impossible Burgers and stuff. I always thought were like.
That's different. This is actual meat grown from cells of animals that they make into fiber material. I don't fucking know, dude. I always thought that about the Impossible Meat and stuff because I remember trading those stocks back in the day, and I always thought to myself, if you're that against eating meat, why would you eat something that's flavored just like the meat that you don't want to eat? That doesn't make any sense.
Bleeds. You're right. They put like the beet juice in it to make sure that it bleeds or whatever.
Yeah.
It's so, which, if you know anything, that's not blood in the meat. It's like hemoglobin or something like that. It's like
it's not. Yes, it's not. It has to do with juices or something like that. But yeah, so of course, that whole conspiracy theory is just another distraction to take you away from the Hunter Biden story, which has also come out. And I can't remember the rapper's name. Jeremy, can you introduce me to this? So Hunter Biden came out and got charged with this gun, whatever the thing is like that. Of course, he got probation, but I do believe it was either Chance the Rapper or somebody that does a lot of good in the community. He's typing right now, but it was the exact same charge, right? And the rapper got 3 years. in
Was it
prison.
Meek Mill?
I don't know. Jeremy, chop.
Anyway.
But yeah, so that's coming out now, and of course now he has gone on the offensive. Yeah, was it Meat Mill, bro? I think you're capping here. I think you're just going with the flow. I'm gonna need it. But but of course now he's coming out and saying, well, wait a minute. This is the exact same thing that I have. I had to serve 3 years. This guy gets off. So there's a lot of things going on and a lot of distractions. But anyway, back to it. It's just another thing where, yes, so now all of the Yellowstone River is pretty much contaminated
That's
now.
sad. Hopefully they can, wrangle that in. It was funny too.
That's
but
it.
Just
Kodak Black. Kodak Black
has not done a lot of really good things in the community. But
Actually, look it up. Look it up.
Okay.
He's done a lot of giving back. He's changed. I think this is actually after the prison sentence that a lot of
He's
this
going
stuff
back
has
to
been done.
jail. He just violated his probation like 2 days ago.
Probably for calling out Hunter Biden.
I don't know. It was interesting to see Merrick Garland was given his little speech from the White House podium or whatever about what the DOJ went through and about how there's no favoritism and there's none of this and this and this. And then they have video of the night before of Merrick Garland and Hunter Biden at the same gala together, laughing, shaking hands, hanging out, like nothing's going on.
Meanwhile, the government also lost $6.2 billion.
Yeah. And then you got the Russia coup this weekend as well, too.
Yeah, well, that's what I was getting to that.
18 hours.
So you had the Russia coup that, now that the money that we supposedly overpaid and gave Ukraine too much, was that the money that went to fund the Russia coup? So many interesting things happening over the weekend. So many conspiracy
a lot of money to pay for 18 hours of coup, but whatever.
It's a coup, baby.
I feel like we would have liked a little bit more time than that. But
So Jeremy goes, none of the train derailment cars had any volatile components. Okay. So what does volatile mean?
They're not going to explode?
They were all USDA approved chemicals. Hot asphalt. Okay, well, I'm sure that's got to be great.
Well, listen, at least it'll just stop the leak.
Yeah, there you go. Maybe it'll build a dam. The beavers will be happy. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know if they'll be happy with a concrete dam, though. I'm not sure if that's how that works. But...
blacktop, not concrete.
Okay, whatever.
We had some golf over the weekend.
Great weekend. It was a great weekend. Did you do anything this weekend?
No, I didn't, and it was a great weekend. I really did absolutely nothing at all. I did absolutely nothing. It was beautiful. I just sat out. I did some house stuff. I washed the sheets, did some laundry, cleaned up around the house. But I just vegged out. It was awesome. Sunday we had baseball starting at 10:00 in the morning. So I obviously I got that going. Then the Gator game started at 3:00, so I did a little laundry in between. It was a good weekend, man. It was a good weekend, and I did watch a little bit of the Travelers Championship, this elevated event on the PGA courses, where the courses are so groomed and tough that there's no way that these boys could shoot live numbers, and here we are out there, and I do believe the dude shot 25 under this week.
Keegan played great. Good hit for the boys. I think they had a ticket on him at, I don't know, a lot to one.
I think they said 70 to 1.
70 maybe, something like that. But I mean, a pretty good showing. We had talked about Ches Reavie, who was up there as well. Rory makes a run on the last day. Ricky Fowler played well. Scotty Scheffler has not been outside the top 12 this year or something like that. It's like one of the most, obviously Tiger's got all the records, but since Tiger, it's one of the most historic golf runs that we've seen. In terms of ball striking, I think he's been like 1 or 2 in ball striking. We can talk more about this on Wednesday, but big shout out to Keegan Bradley. Really great showing. Did you see how cool it was too at the end? They gave both of his little boys trophies as well.
I did not. Honestly, the tournament was extremely boring for me. I'm sorry. There was great golf being played, but when a dude has a 6-shot lead going into it, there's no drama involved.
Well, he was only up by like 1 or 2 going into the final round, and then Ches just kind of dropped off because he was up there with him, and Ches had a bad round. Keegan started off hot, and that was it. There was no coming back from it.
And did the boys call this right again? Rory just had the amazing Saturday round to choke on Sunday again. I
No,
didn't.
Rory played well on.
I'm
on
sorry,
Sunday as well,
Ricky.
too.
Ricky.
Yep,
Ricky shot 10 under on Saturday.
Yep.
And I do believe Chad said, "Oh, great, so he can give it all back on Sunday." To which I, chastised him and said, "How dare you?" And I didn't even see what he ended up shooting on Saturday or Sunday. Did you?
Not great. Not great.
I know that
Great.
he did not have a good day. Jeremy, do we have that number? But yeah, I didn't see him on the leaderboard whatsoever. So I don't know. It must not have been.
No, but it was cool. They come out and he's got his 2 little kids. They can't both be. Neither of them can be more than 5 or 6 years old. And they have 2 trophies that are replicas of the trophy that he won just for them. And so they're running around, cheersing dad with the trophies, acting like they're drinking.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah,
as well.
That's cool. He did shoot
Keegan,
69.
Keegan's over there. Just like as soon as he won, bro, it was Sam Adams popped. He's chugging out of the trophy. He's like, I'll give it back to you next week. You can do the insignia on it or whatever, but I'm taking this for a few days. They're like, we understand, Keegs. It's all good, man. Enjoy yourself. But one of the truly good guys of the PGA Tour. Good to see him get another dub.
One of the things that you did send out there that I wanted you to touch on a little bit is Rory's comments on the course. And his specifically saying that the technology has outpaced this course.
Right.
What do you think he means by that, and what are your thoughts on that?
I understand what he's saying, right? I mean, you got 24 under.
Explain it to us that don't know what he's talking about.
Well, what he's saying is just basically the technology of the golf balls and the clubs that they use and the skill set that they all, have now. That 24 under is, a number that shouldn't be shot on the PGA Tour to win a tournament. Is basically what Rory is saying. He's saying that this course should be retired. It's become obsolete. It's too easy for them to play now because of everything that's gone on. And he mentioned, changing the balls and rolling them back and so on and so forth.
So that, so that probably had a great correlation to his stance on rolling the balls back as well. So
yeah, which is fine. However, and I should have had this teed up, and I'm sorry that I didn't. But going to that same tweet that he sent out another tweet that was actually, I think, about 2 months ago that he had, which was done by Dan Rappaport. He said, this was done on March 6th. From Rory McIlroy. The lead's changing hands with guys making bogeys, not really birdies, so don't know how people find that entertainment value. He's literally talking out of both sides of his mouth, because he's saying that he doesn't understand how people find entertainment and value out of players making bogeys and pars, but then he's saying that, and maybe this is just him saying that they're bored with the course, but it doesn't seem like it. We'll have to look at the numbers to see what is right. Do fans like watching 24 under more, or do fans like watching, you grind for 7 or 8 under at a course like Bay Hill?
Well, I think that the audience would show that. I think the week after a major championship that the viewership goes down anyway. I'm just going to put that out there in the universe, because there's nothing like watching like you just said, those guys scramble and do, great things and have to hit specific shots at the US Open versus this course where, they're not really punished very much, obviously, and able to shoot 24 under. And, Rory does kind of talk out of his sides of both mouth. And I said that before when he talked about Liv. And, I was chastised for it. But he does have, I think he's trying to make points on both directions, but it does come off of that. It's like, okay, bro, you just said this. So now how are you going to say this? But
I think we all like Rory, too, and we genuinely want to root for Rory to win, because we've seen him grow up, we've seen him play, and, he hits the ball so far and so well. And, I feel like there's a consensus in golf that we all do love and respect Rory, so we root for him, But
some people
listen. We're gonna call a spade a spade.
Absolutely.
You can't talk out of both sides of your mouth, no matter how much I love you. If it was Tiger, we'd be doing the same thing here. So it is what it is.
Absolutely.
Rory, donkey of the day. Figure out which way you want to go. Okay, figure it out.
Figure out which way you want to go.
2023.
It's just what it is. So as we did talk about over the weekend, Oh my God. We did have the College World Series going on. Florida started off against LSU, and it's quite the series. LSU did take game one. Florida came back yesterday and just absolutely dismantled them, putting up the most runs in a College World Series during that game. Watching both games from start to finish, LSU has two really, really good pitchers, and they were both used up in game one. Now, I know that college is not necessarily the pro league, so it's not like they're going to be sitting them or anything of that nature. I'm sure everyone will be available for this game tonight. However, I did like the Gators' chances tonight going into it based on what I saw and the swag that the Florida Gators continued to get back. Watching them going back to the Oral Roberts games, they were very close games. They were low-scoring games, and the Florida offense has struggled for mightily over the past few games. It seems unable to be able to hit a fastball whatsoever, and that they were always looking for the breaking ball. However, they did break out of that yesterday with the opening grand slam to be able to put them up by 4 and never look back from there. I do have some serious concerns about Florida's pitching. They just cannot throw strikes. They issued, I think it was like 5 or 6 walks yesterday. The only thing that, I know you didn't get to watch a whole lot of it. The only thing that I didn't really like as far as the momentum, because, a lot of people are like, you should have saved runs. I absolutely don't think that. Everyone gets a base hit. Everyone gets a home run. Everyone gets across the plate. Everyone feels that swag that they are untouchable. And I think that that's a huge mental advantage going into the game tonight, which is going to be a winner take all. However, LSU in the bottom of the ninth did crack a solo home run. Now, you're going to say, Tyson, what's the deal? They were up by 21 runs. Why does that matter? Because that gave them a little inkling of life. And when I was talking about on the group chat, I was like, step on their throats. Don't let them up. We all know when you're on one of these games, even my father-in-law who was over here watches, like, this is absolutely ridiculous. Like, just get the game over with. I'm like, absolutely not. Every single player that gets another hit, every single player that crosses a run, it boosts every single one of their confidence, and it demoralizes LSU going into the next game. They had 5 errors in the game, 2 committed by the shortstop, 1 by I think it's White, their third baseman, who hit the game-winning home run the day before. They looked at absolute shambles. Now, they did get the home run in the bottom of the ninth, and I hate that because it gives them life. Right? They didn't put up any runs outside. I do believe, was it the first inning? The 3 runs that they scored right off the rip.
They scored 1 in the first, 2 in the second.
Right. And after that, they didn't score again until the bottom of the ninth. And they hit the solo shot on that one. It gives them just a little bit of life. Say, hey, we can do this. We're not completely dead. That was the only part that I didn't like about the whole curb stomping that we saw out there in Omaha. But the Gators look really, really good. They do have that life back. Obviously, they scored just a complete ton of runs yesterday to be able to get that. I really love the momentum going in tonight. It's going to be a huge game. LSU, I will give you them props, even though I absolutely hate LSU, and I hate most of the people that root for LSU because they're just assholes. They came up strong to Omaha, and it was pretty much, I would say, at least 70-30, maybe a little, maybe 65-35, but LSU crowd out there was so strong. It felt like a true home game out there. And, the Gators were out there representing, but, also, I don't know if you didn't watch the coverage, but the ESPN coverage of this game was pretty much like watching Joe Buck call an Aaron Rodgers game. And if you know, it was pretty much like that the entire way. They talked all about LSU this, LSU that, LSU this, LSU that. They didn't give the Gators any respect whatsoever. They didn't expect them to win the game either. Even during the onslaught, they kept mentioning the LSU Tiger pitchers and this, that, and the other. And it's like, at what point do you get off that horse and say, hey, this Gator team, they might be a little bit better than we thought. But what we're looking forward to it tonight, I just hope, I did talk about it a little bit on the pre-show, the strike zone and the umpires in college baseball. And I realize this is not professional baseball. I understand that. And I've been on record saying I'm ready for the electronic strike zone because of this. I'm ready for the electronic strike zone. It is absolutely ridiculous, the strikes that this umpire was calling. Now, he was called it consistently on both sides, so I will say that. But he was calling strikes so far out of the zone that people were having to swing with basically, the one hand on the bat, throwing the bat out there to try to make contact on those pitches. It was absolutely They were not hittable. They were just not hittable. So hopefully that gets tightened up a little bit. But I'm really excited. I don't know. Do you have to work tonight as well, Jeffrey?
I am there tonight as well.
You know, that's the only thing that really, really sucks about working at a place with no television.
We have TVs.
Oh, you do? Oh, okay. Well, you'll be able to get
in
a
the
little
bar. Yeah, I'm on 13 of the next 14 days, which started on Saturday. So, and that'll be all the way up until basically this baby comes. So catch your boy at work, not outside, is what it is. Hopefully, and one of the reasons, shout out to Ian Zeese. I know he's going to play some golf today. It is his birthday on Friday. So, he's got that being, anytime anybody turns 34, 35 years old, you have to take 2 weeks off for your 34th, 35th birthday to celebrate to the maximum that you possibly can. So definitely shout out to him.
Is he only 35?
It's something like that.
God, he feels like...
I don't even think it's like 35. I think I'm overshooting that.
I feel like he's 50. I feel like he's 50.
I think it's much younger, honestly, and I think that's something that bothers me as well too. Whatever. I digress. Here we are. It's a pleasure to cover your shifts for you, but that being said, when it came down to the game, I know you said that they threw two guys. They only have two pitchers. Well, one of them only threw 3 innings though, in the first game, and Florida did swing and miss 17 times against the one pitcher who started for him for LSU. I think this game is going to be very close. I see a barn burner. I feel like we've gotten down to this point now with both teams, and I feel like they've had some close calls, some walk-offs. You say that you don't like LSU fans because they're annoying. Is that what you said?
Yeah, very, very.
Who in particular are you referring to?
I will not name names because I like them outside of college football, but or outside of college sports, I should say. But gotcha. I will not name names. They know who they are.
It's very interesting because all I saw on my Facebook timeline yesterday was Gator fans. Everybody throwing up the Gator and the Chomp and how you like that LSU 24-4. And listen, series is 1-1.
What was the narrative? What was the narrative after game one? What was the narrative after game one on your timeline?
What do you mean? What was the narrative after game one?
After the Gators lost game one, what was your timeline reflective of?
Crickets. Nobody on there.
So you don't have any LSU friends, is what you're trying to say?
I have a few. One of them posted something about
you have
way to get it done, boys.
You have many, many more Gator friends than you do LSU friends, correct?
Sure.
Okay.
I've lived in Florida my whole life. Wouldn't that be expected?
You're the one having the narrative here, bro. I'm just trying to set the stage.
I'm telling you what my narrative is.
Your narrative's you hate Gators, so you look for anything negative about Florida.
About your fucking facts, okay?
You will just I'm
excited for the game tonight. I think it's going to be a great game. I hope the pitching can hold up. I do see it being maybe like an 8-9, 7-8 game. I think both teams will come out and hit. I do think LSU, from what I understand, they have a couple older guys on their team as well too. A little bit of experience, and yeah, that crowd's rocking, ready to go. Shout out to the LSU fans, man. You guys always travel. You guys always show up anywhere that it is. Always there for a good time. Always so respectful as well too toward other fan bases and everything that's going on. Really, probably the best fan base in the SEC, if we're being honest.
You are full of shit.
The way that they
you are full
really,
of
really
shit. It's oozing out your ears right now. It's so bad that you would say something like that.
But from the back and forth that I've always had with LSU fans, it's always been very respectable. So
it does look like that the LSU is going to start Skennies again. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. That's their ace. In Florida, is going to start Caglione as there. So we got a lefty versus a righty going up there.
So they threw Floyd and Cooper, LSU did, on Saturday. Saturday they threw Floyd and Cooper. Floyd threw 8 innings, 17 Ks, 3 earned, and Cooper threw 3 innings, 1 hit, 1 walk, 3 Ks. Both carried about a 4.3 ERA.
And watching, like I said, watching both of those, Florida just could not hit the fastball. it was right down the middle, and it was one of the things
A
that
lot of swing and misses.
one of the things I want to give a lot of props to is these college kids, and I don't know if this is the way that the developmental of baseball is going. I saw these guys hitting 100. I had to look and make sure that the home plate to home base was still the same in college, but they're multiple. Most all of these pitchers are throwing mid-90s as a start.
If it would still be 100 is still 100. It just depends on what it looks like from the distance that it's being thrown at.
Well, the ball loses velocity as it continues to travel.
Okay, so when they play like the Little League World Series, right, and they have the kids, and obviously it's shorter, it's 45 feet instead of 60 feet 6 inches. But when they throw, they have the same velocity. But what it says is that it'll say the guy's throwing 70 miles an hour. It looks like and feels like it's 98, 99, or 100.
Okay.
So it's.
I'm just talking about straight radar speed.
Yeah, that won't change.
What do you mean it won't change?
Continue. They're radaring the ball from when it's leaving their hand. Either way, no matter what.
Okay.
If a guy throws 100 miles an hour from shortstop, okay, he's throwing 100 miles an hour from
So you're telling me that radar is from the time it leaves his hand and not where it crosses the plate?
In my opinion, yes.
So that's an opinion. That's not a fact.
When you pass by a cop, okay, and he takes your radar, okay, he takes your radar from when you pass, correct?
Well, it's whenever you cross his radar gun.
When you're okay, I think we're gonna move on.
Radar is set up to get miles per hour as the ball crosses home plate.
Okay.
This is straight from the producer, bro.
Which, by the way, I'm gonna need a little bit more out of him lately. Okay, if we're gonna be honest here, Jeremy, I need a little bit more out of you.
Jeremy just said, "I've literally done this 4 games."
No, you haven't. Okay, I don't care about you sitting up in a press box. All right, bunch of baloney, Jeremy. And you know what? If I didn't want to touch on this, but I think we're gonna get into it.
Come on in, Jeremy. Come on in here.
Right now, Jeremy. I need you. Okay, I need you to step it up a little bit. Okay.
He's spitting facts here.
I don't care. My feelings don't care about your facts. Okay. And also, when these situations come down, okay, I need you to have my back, not his back.
Okay? He doesn't have anyone. He has the facts backs. The facts back.
Okay. He has his facts.
Jeremy,
I need you to come. Go ahead, Jeremy. You're unmuted.
As a television producer of over 400 live games and being nominated for 3 Emmys.
3 Emmys. 3 Emmys. We are in an Emmy-nominated show right here, boys. We have Emmy-nominated talent.
If there is a bigger
radar gun is set up
right now
behind home plate to points directly down at home plate, so that when the ball crosses home plate, that is the speed at which the ball crosses. You can argue that I'm not on your side. I'm just telling you.
Which is why the speed doesn't show up until the ball crosses.
Correct.
Otherwise, the speed would show up instantly.
Otherwise, what do you mean? The ball doesn't have to cross home plate for the speed to be able to be registered, correct?
The radar gun is set up as a 6x6 box that goes across both batters boxes.
So when Randy Johnson was throwing the ball up here, all right, and he was throwing behind batters, and we still got a radar read on it. Why is that?
Because it crosses through that plane. It is a plane.
If you listen to him, he just said it goes through both batters' boxes.
Okay. You're right. I'm wrong. Fine. Bottom line is, Jeremy.
Clip it. Someone clip it.
No.
Clip it.
Clipping shit.
Clip that.
First of all, and I already know what's about to come out.
Clip it
here very shortly. Is that you're going to see an onslaught. I'm just warning all of you. You're going to see an onslaught of Facebook Reels and YouTube Shorts and all these things, and it's going to be me being wrong about everything that I possibly can. Okay.
Which happens a lot.
Some people have time to be able to clip those things, to make me look, tear me down.
Again, we're just putting facts out here. That's all we're doing. We're just putting
as much as they possibly can.
We're just
Jeremy,
putting facts
as an Emmy-nominated producer, okay, a 2-time Emmy-nominated producer. All right, I'm gonna need you to step your game.
3-time.
I'm sorry, 3-time. Oh, okay. We're okay. 3-time Emmy-nominated producer. I feel like you're Dr. Disrespect right now. Like
He's the 3-time, baby.
The 3-time. That's your new nickname. The 3-time.
I'm gonna start calling him that. Absolutely.
I need you to step it up a little bit.
I think he's stepping it up just fine. He's stating the facts. I just can't believe that out of all of your vast knowledge of sports that you thought that the radar gun came when the ball was released from the hand of a pitcher. And yes, it would matter
I
if that.
still believe that because
you're wrong.
Okay, whatever. I can be wrong. I can tell you what I feel.
So if you move the pitching mound, if you move the pitching mound from 60 feet 6 inches to 90 feet 6 inches, you would not have people throwing 100 miles an hour.
I'm sorry?
You would not have people throwing 100 miles an hour.
You're fucking retarded.
Well, first of all, that's a pretty good word to use there. And then you're telling me that if you're going to have the same velocity throwing 30 more feet.
They don't throw 100 miles an hour from the hole in shortstop.
Not by the time it gets to first base. It can come out of their arm like that. Jeff, I'm very...
I'm going to back Jeff up on this. So when they show a shortstop, say Machado or anybody throwing...
O'Neal Cruz.
Okay, when they say he threw 100 miles an hour, that he is absolutely correct. That's based on timing from it leaves his hand to when it hits the glove. That's timing. That's not radar gun. That's timing based on how long and how much distance he's covering.
Okay, so you're telling me if he's throwing from 90 feet, right, 90 feet to first base, that he's that's gonna hit 100 miles an hour.
The top speed will reach 100 miles per hour.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about by the time that it gets to first base, which is what we're talking about here, because we're talking about the time that it crosses home plate.
I'd like to apologize to all the listeners for using the word retard. I shouldn't have done that. It's something that I'm trying to process out of my vocabulary, and I do apologize. And I will promise to be better in the future.
I think if you use the hangover version of retard, then I think that's a little bit better. But so I say again, we're measuring from the time that the ball crosses home plate. Okay, so you're Jeremy, in all of your vast experience being the 3-time, if I take that pitcher's mound from 60 feet 6 inches and I move it to 90 feet 6 inches, that ball is still going to hit 100 miles an hour when it crosses home plate. Well, apparently we just have infinite velocity then.
No,
I need Neil deGrasse Tyson on here. I'm talking about putting the radar gun on home plate. On home plate. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about measuring the speed as the ball crosses home plate. And you're telling me that if I move the mound back 30 feet, that they're still going to hit 100 miles an hour on home plate.
I'm saying that a third baseman can throw a ball 100 miles an hour across.
I'm not talking about velocity. I'm talking about the time that it crosses home plate. We're talking the exact same thing here. So a pitcher right now.
We're talking about velocity, actually.
Right. We're talking about a pitcher right now. A pitcher right now that at 60 feet 6 inches throws to home plate and hits 100 mile an hour on the gun. Okay, so we can all agree on that. Okay, well you can't, Jeff. So just don't pay attention. This is me and Jeremy talking because we know how the radar gun works. So you're telling me if I take the exact same pitcher that's throwing 100 miles an hour across the home plate at 60.6 inches, and I move him to 90.6 inches, and he's throwing from a mound straight to home plate again, that when that ball crosses home plate, he's still going to hit 100 miles an hour?
It will.
Oh my God. Dude. I don't know, Jeff. He might have lost all credibility.
I'm not in this conversation. Yeah, I'm not in this conversation. I'm just hanging out with.
That would be like saying when the guy throws from left field to home plate, that the ball is still traveling at the same velocity as when it left his hand.
That is you are correct on that point. It does not have the same velocity. When they measure it from left field to home plate, the ball reaches 100 miles per hour. It does not.
I'm not talking about that.
Plate 100.
I'm talking about when it crosses home plate, though. You're telling me that if I add 30 feet to the exact same pitch, that is still going to read 100 miles an hour when it crosses home plate.
When all of the talking heads and everything that's or anything that you watch, and they say a shortstop throws a ball 100 miles an hour.
I'm not talking about a shortstop. I understand that.
No. No, but what I'm saying is the ball reached 100 miles per hour in the throw to cover the distance. Now, a pitcher, when it crosses home plate, that is the velocity. When a shortstop or an outfielder does it, the ball reached 100 miles per hour and then does decrease as it gets to the plate. You are correct in that point.
Okay, so when a pitcher throws to home plate, as the ball goes closer to home plate, it reduces velocity, correct? It's probably coming out of his arm at a faster than 100
Correct.
miles an hour.
Hi, Lucy.
Correct.
So therefore, if you move the mound back 30 feet, it's still not going to come across the plate at 100 miles an hour. It's going to lose
won't.
velocity.
It will reach 100 miles per hour. It will not cross 100 miles per hour. Correct.
That's literally what I've been saying for the past 15 minutes, and everyone's arguing with me.
Because you're wrong.
I swear to God, dude, you guys suck ass. But anyway, let's get back to it. So I was very impressed by the pitchers from college and the velocity that they throw at the ball that crosses home plate. At that, a couple guys definitely hitting over 100 miles an hour, but the Gators really, really struggled with the fastball, and it really looked like they were pitch hunting the entire time, which I don't know if for those of you that haven't played baseball before, when you're at the plate and you're pitch hunting, right? If you don't get the pitch that you're absolutely dialed in for, you're going to be fooled 99 out of 100 times. You might get lucky, you might be able to flip the bat, get a little something on it, but you're going to be fooled a lot, and that's really what we saw with the Florida Gators over the weekend. So hopefully we can stop pitch hunting as far as that goes and look to see dead red. Just look for dead red. And I think that was one of the adjustments that the Gators made on Sunday versus Saturday is the LSU Tigers were absolutely murdering dead red balls. So they went to the sliders, they went to the curves a lot more on Sunday. I do believe something like 70% of the actual pitches were off-speed pitches, and that was able to fool up the LSU Tigers a little bit more. The Gators are definitely going to have to get it dialed in tonight, going up against the LSU Ace, who has like a 1.28 ERA. So it's going to be a very, very tight game. I do believe Jeremy said the over-under was 9 on this, and LSU is favored 145. But we will be watching. One of the things I did want to talk about on this one, before we move on to the Major League Baseball in London, is we're doing these coaches' interviews again. And I realize, as Jeremy said, that these things are scheduled, that we're going to be, after this inning, this is what we're going to do over here. This is what we're going to do over here. But I've been on the record before saying in-game interviews are the absolute dumbest thing ever to happen to sports. So case in point, the LSU Tigers are scheduled for their managerial interview. The Gators just hung up 6 runs on them the inning before, or the half inning before. So obviously they're going in there talking about, they just hung up 6 runs. What's the plan? Like, it's not the time to me. I know that Jeff really enjoys these interviews and getting the insight into these college athletes and these pro athletes, as well as the managerial decisions that's going on. But to me, it's any question that anybody that could watching the game answer. I think that's very trivial, in my opinion, and it needs to go away.
I love it, by the way, personally. I love the in-game interviews. I love having a player mic'd up in the outfield, running around. I love all of it. I think it's fantastic. I think I want more of it. I think put a microphone on every single player, on an earpiece in every single player's head, and then let's get to work. Full access. I want to hear everything. I want an NSFW page that I can listen to everything that they say. I want to hear trash talk during NBA games. I want it all.
How many players? Let's just take that, because we're going to move on to the MLB, who was in London. It was the Cubs-Cardinals series. It was a good series back and forth. They did have a couple live interviews while plays were going on. They did lose one of the earpieces from Ian Happ as well out there, that they had to basically space balls the outfield out there and try to comb the outfield to find it. But well, I don't know what the fuck. What was I talking about?
I don't know. You were about to ask me something about like a gotcha question about having somebody with an earpiece in, or something like that.
I don't know.
You remember?
Lost all train of thought right there.
Okay.
Lost all train of thought. But they did have some.
Go ahead.
They did have some of the interviews going on during this Cubs-Cardinal game, during the play as well, and it was kind of funny. They're literally asking him questions as the pitcher's delivering the ball, or they just wrapped up a question where they're waiting for a response, and the players going into their defensive stance. I don't know. Jeff likes it.
Did you see the?
I know what it was. I know what it was. Let's just say, like you were talking about, if the NBA had every player mic'd up, if the Major League, it's just every sport had every player mic'd up, and it was all available.
Yeah.
How many players get canceled a year?
Well, none, because we would understand in society that, you know.
Oh, I don't think so, Jeffrey. I don't think so. I think
Absolutely.
you would see a lot of cancellations. Have
I
you
don't
seen
think
the Have
so.
you seen the
You can
commercial
only
where?
be canceled if you allow somebody to cancel you.
Well, the Major League Baseball will cancel if it means protecting their image. Do you seen the commercial with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. in the Toronto dugout, and he's talking to the manager, right? And he's got the mic on. He's like playing it, and the coach looks at him and goes, "You're mic'd up. Stop it." That's what it's going to do. It's going to take the players being loose with each other out of the element if you continue to mic these people up. That's all.
Just
That's
put
all.
boom mics in the dugout and let me hear it if I want to hear it. I can be offended if I want to be offended. If I don't want to be offended, I don't have to listen to it.
If that was the world we live in, Jeff, this would be a much more peaceful place. Where if you just heard something and didn't like it and moved on, I think that the world would be a much better place.
I do want to give a shout out to the MLB, though. They made a bunch of rule changes this year. You mentioned the games over in London and everything that they've done. If you just look at the numbers, especially this weekend, this is the largest. So the MLB drew 1.5 million over the 45 games that they had this weekend, an average of over 35,000 people attending the games per game. Baseball is in full swing right now. It's the best numbers, largest weekend since 2017, largest Sunday total since 2008 as well. I think everything they've done has sped the game up. It's made it more digestible, more enjoyable. We see more runs. We see more stolen bases. It looked like Acuna might go for 40-70 this year, which is incredible as a stat to think about. The Braves are playing great ball. It's just I think I love everything that they did. We talked about a lot of the rule changes about how it would affect everything. I don't think the pitch clock has really done that much in terms of negatively impacting the game. And I do love the larger bases. I love everything they've done, and I think they've done a great job. And you're seeing it in the numbers, and you're seeing the production that MLB is doing. So kudos to them. Well done. We'll give a small little golf clap over here to Rob Manfred and MLB Baseball.
And somebody that was probably a little skeptical of these changes, I couldn't agree more. Everything that they've done has been great. The shifts are absolutely great. Not being able to do the shifts, you're seeing a lot more stolen bases. The pickoff moves being limited. It's just, I agree. As somebody,
you can get creative on shifts too. It's not. I mean, you don't like.
You just can't have two people on each side of the base. That's all.
Yeah.
I mean, every time I saw a guy hit a ball up the middle during the Cubs game, and I'm like, oh, it's a base hit. I'm like, no, there's somebody standing right there. So, yeah, I mean, but like you said, it's not the one where you just have the third baseman playing shortstop and everyone else on the entire side and one person in shallow right field. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it definitely changes things. But, I'm sure the nerd statisticians are going to be like, well, are we going to start categorizing these eras now? Okay, well, somebody had all these hits or whatever during the non-shift era, but these guys, didn't have hits during the shift era. I think that the statisticians are going to have a little fun with that as well.
Well, I think it speaks for itself. And if you play during the shift era and still batted for a certain average, I think that should be definitely rewarded and calculated into your Hall of Fame ballot or voting or whatever it is at the end of your career. But if you look at it, we finally changed the shift rules, and we got a guy in Florida hitting over 400 for the first time in how many years?
There's actually two players that are right at 399. I can't remember who the other one, but the other one is Luis Ariza. I do believe. I know I'm saying his name wrong. I actually had him in my other league, and I actually kept him going into this league to this year as well. And he was actually on the waiver wire on this year on our fantasy baseball as well. But unfortunately, the way that this structure works on this one, averages don't really mean much. It's all about hits, bases, and home runs, so it's very, very weighted heavily. So I do believe he was still on the block. But yeah, I mean, we got two guys that are potentially could hit over 400 this year. I mean, that's absolutely nuts. It's absolutely nuts. But then I always look back at it as like 300, right? 300 was a really good. That's a great average, correct? That means 3 hits out of every 10. Just goes to show you how tough it is to actually hit a baseball and get out there.
We have a year back in the 90s where it was like Tony Gwynn, and I forget who the other player was. They were going back and forth for the batting title. Anyway. I want to say it was maybe Larry Walker was having a great year, or maybe it was Todd Helton. Todd Helton, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, why I digress. Anyway, shout out to Major League Baseball. Great job. I think it's been incredible this year. I think it's got people back engaged. We just need a little help with our fantasy team. You know,
we need a lot of help with our fantasy team, but there's a whole another half of a season coming up, buddy, and we're gonna lock it in.
Season.
We're gonna lock it in. We're gonna be right there.
Everybody makes the playoffs.
That's right.
Makes the playoffs.
And that's all you got to do. You got to get in there.
All right.
So, Formula One back this weekend, finally. We are in Austria this week. Charles Leclerc and Ferrari are going to be the defending champions. Looking over last year, Max Verstappen was right there at a second and a half behind. You know, a lot of good changes that are happening over there. We also did see that Ryan Reynolds has entered the F1 scene and contributing to Alpine in his $200 million. What did you just do?
I was messing with mine.
Okay, I was making sure over there. I saw that move a little earlier today, and I wanted to make sure that we weren't redoing it. One of the things that I think is very, very interesting going into this week, and I'm gonna give a hot take here. I don't know. Are you ready for this? You ready for this hot take?
Lay it on me, Tyson.
Checo Perez will not finish this year as a Red Bull driver. Dum dum dum.
Well, let's do this. Are you saying Checo Perez will not finish this year as a Red Bull driver? Or are you saying Checo Perez will not finish this year as a starting Red Bull driver?
Well, I think they go hand in hand. If you're not on the starting grid, you're pretty much released, and you're off the team.
If you ask Daniel, what's his name? Daniel Ricciardo, if he's a Red Bull driver, what do you think he says?
He's a reserve Red Bull driver.
Okay. So you don't think that Checo would move back to be a reserve Red Bull driver?
No. I mean, it's just like getting benched in the NBA, except for worse.
Happens all the time. John Wall has played like 43 games in the past 6 seasons and made like $300 million. So
I mean, I guess it could happen. But usually when somebody, as Checo has come out and said that he wants to compete for a championship, and he is in second place in the standings as far as the individual driver awards go. But we continue to see mediocrity out of him week after week in the Red Bull car that is continually blowing away the field. Max Verstappen is winning races by over 20 seconds, 15 seconds, 10 seconds. And if they get the plan right and he decides to not hammer it the entire time, it's a no contest. So you have another driver that is continuing to struggle. And, as I was watching the race last week again, Checo started off in 10th, I do believe, or 12th. I believe he ended up in 6th place. But as we're watching this, and we know that Checo is the tire whisperer and he can continue to keep tires when other people can't. However, he is just not performing. And as a Checo fan and as somebody that wants to see him succeed, I don't get it. He has, the same car in all basic scenarios as Max Verstappen, and he's continually 20 seconds behind him. He had a couple good races. We looked at Max Verstappen in Miami, where I do believe he started 10th or 11th, somewhere around there. And it only took him 23 laps to continue to pass the entire field and to take over Checo and to blow him out of the water for the rest of the race. We've seen Max Verstappen continually start at the back of the field and have no problems moving through the field with the same Red Bull car, whereas Sergio has no chance to get past anybody that he has to actually use some driving maneuvers. I think it's something that we're going to see play out here as the season goes on. I know Daniel Ricciardo does want to get back onto the track in 2024. That might be a shift that you see. It's going to depend, though. And it's going to depend on who's going to be Max's number 2. And when I say that, I mean who's not going to challenge Max. Because the entire Red Bull team doesn't want anybody fighting with Max, obviously. I mean, the kid is an absolute prodigy. If somebody can get up on that level, then I think it's great. But that's going to be my hot take. We'll see what happens in Austria this week. We'll see what happens in qualifying. Sergio's been god-awful in qualifying. He's wrecked again. I don't know. He doesn't perform well. He didn't finish, I don't believe, in Austria last year. He didn't even finish the race. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what happens and how long they continue to put up with it. And maybe they continue to let him drive because he is no threat to Max Verstappen. But if he doesn't get bounced by the end of this year, he will not be back on the team next year. That I don't think is too big of a bold statement, but I do believe that he is on the hot seat in F1 in the Red Bull Oracle team.
So he's not finishing the year, or he is finishing the year?
My hot take is that he doesn't finish the year with Red Bull. The normal take would be he's not back next year regardless of what happens.
As somebody who doesn't follow the X's and O's of Formula One racing, but I do love the drama, Drive to Survive, and also I love the fact that
Episode
Ryan
2
Reynolds is hopping in. That's on Full Swing. Thank you very much. But I do love the fact that Ryan Reynolds is hopping into this game. Great, man. Like, in Ryan Reynolds, obviously Deadpool, Blake Lively. If you follow the Wrexham stuff at all, has been incredible. A great businessman in his own sense as well too. Became a billionaire, from what was Jeremy? You gotta help me.
Avion Tequila first, Mint Mobile.
No.
Oh,
two
yeah.
guys, a girl, and a pizza place.
Yeah.
Back in the '90s, if you're looking for an old school show to kind of throw it back to. It was a really good show.
He was in Waiting too, wasn't he?
He was in Waiting. I mean, iconic role in Waiting, obviously. Does the Deadpool stuff. But yeah, for him to get into what he's gotten into, whether it be the Mint Mobile, whether it be aviation, all these stuff that he's gotten into. Aviation.
Oh, it's aviation, not Avion?
Avion is a tequila.
Oh, I thought it was a tequila he was involved in.
I think Avion was actually the tequila, if I remember correctly.
Oh wait, was that Mark Cuban?
It was the nope. No, maybe it was Mark Cuban. Yes, I think it was Mark Cuban because it was on Entourage. Remember, that was the Entourage tequila that they came out with when they're on the private jet flying away in one of the last seasons. But anyway, shout out to Ryan Reynolds. I look forward to this endeavor, and I'm sure whatever you do succeeds, dude. I am all in on Ryan Reynolds. Amazing guy. Seems like he's got it all together.
Seems like a good
Canadian. Very nice Canadian, and really, really a funny guy as well too, which we always love. So shout out to him.
Absolutely.
I do want to point out one thing.
This better not be about baseball velocity balls crossing home plate and a radar gun. Anything else, you have the green light.
How does MLB StatCast measure velocity? The current MLB StatCast system measures velocity as the pitch leaves the pitcher's hand. MLB has gone back and recalibrated FX pitches to convert them to their velocity at pitch release. That's why Chapman's fastest fastball found an extra 0.7 miles per hour.
Okay. That's definitely not a mic drop, dude. I'm gonna let the 3-time handle you out off air. All right, I'm just gonna let the
3-time.
I'm gonna let the 3-time handle you off air.
Hey man, listen, we can all be wrong. It's okay.
I know, but you are.
But only one of us can be right.
And that is definitely not you. So, with that being said, that is it for today. We're going to be back Wednesday with Gap Wedge Wednesday. What?
I mean, the Orlando Magic, two lottery picks in the first round.
You really want to talk about this? Okay.
Very controversial. But
I apologize. That is not it. We're going to talk about the NBA draft and how Jeff does not approve of the Orlando Magic's picks after he was videotaped years ago at the Orlando Magic party, and he was put on live for his disgust of the Orlando Magic and the picks that they continue to make, and why do they keep drafting people out of Michigan? Jeffrey, the floor is yours.
Well, I mean, this has all started from back when I was adamant to not draft Victor Oladipo with the number 2 pick originally in the draft, and I stated it on air multiple times that Victor Oladipo was basically Aaron Aflalo, but a little bit more athletic, and you already have Aaron Aflalo under contract for the next 3 years. Why would you draft him? Boom, they draft Victor Oladipo. Okay, whatever. We digress. Let's move on. Aaron Gordon. Why do we need Aaron Gordon? What does he do well besides rebound and, jump out of the gym? Absolutely nothing. Thinks he's a number 1 scorer, can't score. So, listen, yes. And that was the viral video of me going crazy about
a viral video?
I don't know if it was viral, but
Jeremy, do we have access to this video?
So, listen, this is what I want to say, is that I don't mind these 2 picks at all. I understand that, and
It's not what you said the other night.
The pundits can say, "Well, you're giving an initial reaction off of guys that I haven't really watched that much tape on." The Black pick, I didn't love it because I felt like there were other guys there that could have produced immediately and right away, and that have a little bit more dog in them. Now, looking back at the kid, he is 6'7", 6'8". He was a D1 prospect at wide receiver coming out of high school. Turns that down, goes to Arkansas for 1 year, balls out at Arkansas, runs the show there. They say his basketball IQ is off the chart. Needs to work on his jump shot. I've seen a change in his jump shot from when he ended the season to now. He's been working with Steph Curry's shooting coach the past 2 months since the season ended. His shot looks completely different from what it did when he was at Arkansas. But as we know, that's going to take some time to kind of progress through as well. I don't mind it as a backup point guard. We are very guard deep now. But, the fact that there's interchangeable positions when it comes to most of the things, when you're talking about 4 through 1, whether it be point forwards or such, I feel like it's fine to have a lot of guards and a lot of forwards. We do need a backup center. I would love to see a guy like maybe like a Brook Lopez possibly coming to Orlando. We know that he loves Orlando. He's able to kind of stretch the floor as well, but also rebound when we need him to. Came off a great year with Milwaukee last year as well, too.
Is he a free agent?
Brook Lopez. He is a free agent. Got the pleasure of taking care of him and his fiance as well right after they got engaged. Just a really nice, down-to-earth guy. Really, really cool. So listen, Brooke, come on. The other pick that we had was going to be the Jet Howard pick. Now, people said this was a big reach. If you look at, I think Juwan Howard is one of those guys who nepotism is not going to be huge in terms of playing time. He seems like one of those coaches that is really, truly about whoever the best player is going to play. And so Jet being a freshman, his burn wasn't crazy, but he did shoot it very well from three-point land. Now, the argument becomes, would you have wanted a Grady Dick over a Jet Howard? Jet Howard, you know how much I love Dick, but Jet Howard,
you got a little Dick over the Jet.
A little bit taller, a little bit longer than Dick was, and just being a little bit more versatile than Dick, I think is what kind of drove us.
Can you stop saying Dick?
The pedigree, the pedigree of the Howard name that carries that tradition, over the Dick name, I feel like is probably a little bit stronger as well too. If you look at the Jordan name compared to the Pippen name, one of those kind of things. So anyway, I don't mind the picks. I think they are going to be a little bit developmental, which is fine for what our team has. We just got to figure out who we're keeping and who we're not. Is Bol coming back? Is Gary Harris going to opt back into his contract? A lot of moving parts for the Magic, and I look forward to what Weltman and Hammond have in store for our team. People are saying that Markelle Fultz is on the move. I really hope not. I want to see at least 1 year of full Markelle Fultz able to just drive this train, play with the dudes, let them open it up, and let's see what happens.
I saw something about that draft with Markelle. Was it Markelle Fultz that year, or was it Oladipo's draft? One of them was just.
It was the Oladipo year it was Anthony Bennett, Victor Oladipo.
It was just trash.
The guy that I really wanted, and you can ask any of my boys, I really wanted TJ McCollum out of Lehigh. That was my guy. He was a combo guard. He could shoot it all over the place.
He was probably the best one out of that draft, wasn't he?
Duke, and he went like 12th, and he ends up being the best pick in that draft, which is fine. Nerlens Noel was another guy that I really wanted as well too, because I just wanted a long, lanky dude who could guard the paint, because Vooch was not a rim protector, which we saw. Vooch is a step out, knock the shot down, doesn't block a lot of shots. We need somebody to protect the paint when guys come off of high pick and rolls.
You definitely need a long, lanky dude to go with Dick.
Oh, you're trying to make one of those jokes? That's disgusting, Tyson.
I don't think so.
Grow up, dude.
We're talking about X's and O's here. I don't know what you're talking about.
Anyway, shout out to the Magic. I don't mind the draft. The more you watch tape on people, and the more that they have, proven performance that we can see out of them on tape, I think just,
Well, it's nice to see that you've come around to support your team once again. I think that's a very heartfelt moment.
I always, you can ask anybody in my life, I'm a very positive person. Is glass half full, is not glass half empty.
On paper.
So, here we are.
I deal with the real life version, though. That is far.
Negative Nancy's.
Far from that. Far from
I can't wait to go hit the Powerball today for $440 million. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Me too. I already got plans for it. It's already spent.
All of it?
No.
Are you doing lump sum? Or are you doing?
Oh yeah, lump sum.
Yeah.
I can take a lump sum and I can put it in an investment account and I can clear $100,000 a week after taxes. Just make $100,000 a week,
Chase is offering 4.2 right now.
bro. When you start millions, you're well over that. You're into the 7.5s.
But even at 4.2, if you were to just let that sit, like
Exactly.
I don't guaranteed. Like I don't know, it's crazy. I can just do nothing and make.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the plan. Or after this, I got a little doctor's appointment this afternoon, and I am stopping to get my lotto tickets on the way home.
Yeah, are we live streaming that, by the way? Can we live stream the results?
No, we're not. Anything else that you have for us today, Jeffrey? Anything you'd like to discuss about the MLB and velocity and miles per hour pitches? Anything that you'd like to tie that up with?
Shout out to Orlando City, nice 0-0 draw this past weekend. I'm not sure,
So
Jeremy.
boring.
Can you come in here real quick? Can we just touch on this for 1 second? Because I know you had a lot of strong opinions on it. I know you were yelling at some people about this, and their thing is that it was not their fault. I don't know if you saw the scene. There was a charity game that was played here at Exploria Stadium, and can you break it down for us, Jeremy? Exactly what happened? It was pretty controversial.
So prior to the match starting, there were multiple people who jumped over the barriers and entered the pitch to get a picture or an autograph of their favorite former Brazilian, Argentinian, legends of the game.
Legends of the game.
Well,
Ronaldinho, you're talking. I mean, like every legend of the game is there.
There's no security there.
Robert Carlos. Apparently, there was
very
security,
minimal, very minimal,
very minimal at best. And then, about the 64th minute, a driving rainstorm came through. So the players were kind of, are we still playing? And that's when close to 50 to 75 people, kids, adults, and everything, all of a sudden started storming the field to get pictures because they had stopped play for a few minutes and they just started running and they had to clear the field and call the match. And people were trying to run down into the tunnels to try to get the pictures and everything like that.
Bro, people were throwing their kids onto the pitch. Like people were like throwing their kids over like security to like get them to like run out there to get a picture with some soccer player. I'm just like, oh my God, bro.
What are we doing? You know what? That right there just completely encompasses and epitomizes what this society is right now. We have no respect for anybody else.
Crazy.
It's all about what can we get. Hey, let's do this. Let's, screw it. Screw anybody's, feeling of being secure and what they're doing. Let's just go get and see what we can get done with what we want to get done.
It was one of those weird things too, where it was like the players were really cool with it to start. Like at the first, they were like, "Oh yeah, like take a picture," and then it became a little bit too many people to start to be comfortable with, and you saw dudes start to get like straight escorted out. Like they were like getting pushed into the tunnel, like get out of here right now. We've lost control of the situation, and just I think
what a terrible look for Orlando.
Exactly. And Jeremy, if you want to expound on this, you know what I mean? Like I know that you've been unfortunately asked to leave the premises of games before and stuff like that as well. But like just to expound upon, like how did you feel as a City fan and somebody who like that's your home stadium, like that is your home, that is you are a ruckus supporter, and how did that make you feel watching that?
It kind of hurt because, like you said, I have been trespassed from Exploria Stadium for 3 months at the end of 2021. My situation was our good friend Chris Shea and I got permission from Jess to go to a match at about 2:00 in the afternoon, and from 2:30 until game time, a lot of libations were had. Vaguely remember walking into the stadium, getting more drinks. We were losing to San Jose very, very badly. And I got upset and threw my drink down after they scored again. Unfortunately, we stand in the front row. And when you throw your drink straight down, it goes onto the concrete that goes onto the pitch. And it was seen. And so I was escorted out of the stadium. Now, here was my issue. And this is what you talked about. I see all these people running on and security is not doing anything. Security is not there. I was escorted out by Orange County within a minute and a half of throwing said liquid onto the pitch, not at anyone, not malicious, just throwing it, being upset. And these people are running all over my pitch, and seemingly nothing will happen to them.
I have to say, though, as far as, being thrown out and trespass for things, that was pretty weak. Pretty weak. I did take the second drink that was in front of Chris and threw his drink
about 30 feet onto the pitch. Yeah. After that, I got mad.
So there we go. There we go.
It was
Didn't,
just the liquid. It was just the liquid. It was nothing solid. I just threw the liquid.
Well, the only
Shay-
thing that I can say is, the difference between those two things is one, that the game that you went to was an MLS game, correct?
Correct. Sanction, security, everything.
correct.
This
So
is a
MLS
charity
is-
game.
MLS is picking up the tab for the security for the Orange County, for all of those people to be there. That is incorporated into this. If this was a charity game, the organizers and whoever the organizers are decided to skimp on that money to create more money for said charity, and this is what you get. And I think that, like I said, this just boils down to society these days. Nobody gives a shit about anybody else. Nobody respects anybody else. It's, what can you do for me? You see it on the roadways, you see it in restaurants, you see it all over the place. It's just a lack of respect for anybody else other than said people. It's disgusting. And this is why I stay at my house for the majority of my life. Because I don't want to deal with people like that. That's why I get on air and talk to you fine people.
I thought the game was entertaining to start, but just an unfortunate ending to it as well too. So
Who even
just wanted to
played?
touch on that.
It was a 4-4 match. It was a 4-4 match. It was good.
Yeah.
They had some really great highlights. Roberto Carlos was the captain of one team. Ronaldinho was the captain of the other squad. Guy with the letter V. I can't remember who he was. Vinny or Vicky, he was there. There was some other. I mean, there was some pretty. Valderrama, Carlos Valderrama was there. Couple of, some big name guys were
Carlos
there.
Valderrama. Is that the guy
Yeah.
from the Your
Colombia?
Mama Jokes?
Yes. No.
Oh no, that's Wilmer.
This is
Wilmer.
speaking Chinese to me. I don't know. Well,
You
yeah.
remember that
Thank you
70s
for.
show, and then
No, I
they
don't.
had the
Never
show
watched
on
it.
MTV of like
Never
Your
watched it.
Mama.
Never watched it. Well, that is a very unfortunate thing, Jeremy. Thank you for bringing in that perspective, and looking forward to seeing you being able to be allowed back onto Explorer
Oh,
Field
mama.
for your Orlando soccer club this year.
I gotta get out to a match this year. I haven't been to a match yet.
Okay, paper fan. Anything else to add, Jeffrey, as we
That's
close
one
out
thing.
today?
I'll tell you that though. I do enjoy going to those Orlando City matches. They're quick. They're timely. That you're
It's
chanting,
15
you're
minutes
singing,
away.
Your shirt's off. It's crazy. It's good stuff. Anyway, that's all I got.
That's
Be
going to
great.
do it for this juicy show of the Uninformed Fan, where we broke down the Major League Baseball and how the velocity and miles per hour are different and how they are calculated. I hope that you found that just as extremely irritating as I did. F1 this weekend. We will be back on Wednesday with the Gap Wedge Wednesday boys to break down another big win for them out of the Travelers. And I don't know what event's coming up this week, but I'm assuming since it's probably not an elevated event, it'll probably be a snooze fest. But they will still have the winners somehow, some way, because that's just what they do. Everybody, have a great Monday. Enjoy the start of your week. Keep playing out there.